House of Commons Speaker. Sir Lindsay Hoyle makes a statement rebuking the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, for announcing new fiscal policies to the media before giving her budget statement to MPs. We will watch and react to this clip in today's video, whilst also going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. So, as stated in the intro, House of Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle makes a statement rebuking the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, for announcing new fiscal policies to the media before giving her budget statement to MPs. Have a watch.
Before the next business, I have a short statement to make. In media interviews last week, the Chancellor announced that she intended to introduce changes to the fiscal rules relating to the funding of day-to-day spending through tax receipts and to the measurement of the public debt. These are major new policy announcements with significant and wide-ranging implications for the government's fiscal policy and for the public finances. Ministers should expect to face proper, sustained scrutiny when these announcements are made for the elected members of this House and not for the American news channels. It's not acceptable. I don't want it to continue, and I want to treat this House with the respect it deserves. I'm not whether this side or that side. It is totally unacceptable to go around the world telling everybody rather than these members. They were elected by the constituents of this country, and they deserve to be treated better, whatever. And isn't it funny? When it was the previous party, it was the opposite side that was complaining to me. Get your acts together, all sides. Treat members with respect. Right, let's come to the urgent question. Ian Duncan Smith.
What are your thoughts on the Speaker's words? Let me know in the comments. In some other news, Rachel Reeves has issued a fresh warning about the state of the NHS in a new swipe at the previous government, fewer than 2 days out from Wednesday's budget. The budget's looming tax hikes and borrowing increases, despite prompting anxiety across the country, still may not be enough to undo 14 years of damage to the health service, Reeves warned. The Chancellor is expected to pump billions of pounds into the NHS, including £1.5 billion for new surgical hubs and scanners, and £70 million for radiotherapy machines alone. Though Health Secretary Wes Streeting has said it will take time to turn the situation around, the funding splurge will likely go some way to help meet Labour's pledge to deliver 2 million extra NHS appointments a year. Since July, an additional £1.8 billion has been ring-fenced for elective appointments, while the Treasury has indicated billions of pounds would be invested in technology to help boost productivity across the service. But when asked if the budget would fix the NHS, the Chancellor said, "I don't think in one budget you can undo 14 years of damage, but in this budget, we're going to provide the resource necessary to deliver on our manifesto commitment." Reeves said her plan would help deliver 40,000 additional appointments every single week to reduce the huge backlog, and as well as the increase in the capital budget to take it to its highest level since 2010, to invest in the new scanners and the radiography equipment. Speaking from St George's Hospital in South London, she said staff were still using equipment bought under the last Labour government, which should have been replaced by now. It hampers their productivity and efficiency. So, as well as the money, we need to see reform in the health service, but also modern equipment to get the most out of the qualified staff who are using tools that are not appropriate in 2024. In another Tory dig, Reeves vowed, "We will be known as the government that took the NHS from its worst crisis in its history, got it back on its feet again, and made it fit for the bright future ahead of it." As she unveils the budget on Wednesday, Reeves will acknowledge the need for difficult decisions on spending, on welfare and taxation, and change the way national debt is measured to give her more flexibility to borrow. She said, "By making those decisions and putting our public finances and our public services on a firmer footing, we can wipe the slate clean after 14 years of chaos and instability under the last government." But Streeting, on a joint visit to the hospital with the Chancellor, said the extra cash might not prevent avoidable deaths and another winter crisis over the coming months. "I can't promise that there won't be people waiting on trolleys and corridors this winter, There are people in that position already today. We will start planning for next winter, this winter, to make sure we see continued, steady improvement in our NHS. And what this budget will enable us to do is arrest the decline in the NHS and start fixing the foundation, so we can not only get the NHS back on its feet, but make sure it's fit for the future as part of our long-term plan. I can't pretend that we're going to be able to wave a Labour magic wand and make all of those problems go away this winter. There will still be real problems this winter, but we're not going to deny the scale of the problems, and we are already supporting system leaders, particularly in places that tend to have the most challenge at winter, to try and minimise the risk this winter. Asked if the budget would reduce the level of avoidable deaths in the NHS, Streeting replied, "I think 14 years of Conservative failure have kind of led us to the worst crisis in the NHS history, and have broken that fundamental promise that the NHS will be there for people when they need it. It will take time to turn the situation around, but for this winter, in fact, throughout the year, my number one priority will always be patient safety and taking the steps needed to keep people as safe as possible." Despite his assurances and the Chancellor's pledges, doctors have warned that the NHS faces irreparable damage over Reeves's planned tax hikes on pensions. The British Medical Association has said that further detrimental changes to pension taxes would be devastating after years of doctors being forced to reduce workloads or leave the NHS due to pension policies. Lastly, a North Yorkshire transport chief says the government's new £3 bus fare price cap is still penny-pinching rural communities and will cost workers an extra £500. It comes as the budget now includes a commitment from Prime Minister Keir Starmer to keep a cap on bus ticket prices, though one that is 50% higher. He says, Starmer has given in, but only after pleas from rural communities like ours not to scrap the cap. It's wrong that we have had to fight so hard to save an initiative that is particularly essential for bus services in communities like ours. The small saving this will generate means the decisions feels like penny pinching from rural areas when the major cities have seen billions invested in transport there. While the cap will continue, it will increase by 50%, another hit on working people. The additional cost for a typical worker commuting daily will be around £500. The £2 fare cap really has been a lifeline for many services that are teetering on the edge of survival here in North Yorkshire and really across the country, Chancellor Duncan told in an interview. It's been extremely popular. We've seen an uplift in passenger numbers. We're in a very rural part of North Yorkshire here in the moors. This is just one of the communities that could be left cut off if we do see this breakdown of the network in North Yorkshire. The new £3 price cap is now set to remain until the end of 2025. But without the cap, Chancellor Duncan warns of a cease in services. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British political content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.